Hi everybody, I'm Krouse of the Indiana Gazette, and we're gearing up for another weekend of high school football. We're reporting this week from John Molino Stadium, home of the Marion Center Stingers. The center of attention this weekend is at Homer Center, where the Wildcats take on resurgent Marion Center. The Stingers are 3-0 with wins over Salzburg, West Shamokin, and Purchase-Line, and Homer Center has knocked off Purchase-Line and Penns Manor after opening with a loss to Ligonier Valley. Both teams have cranked their offense into gear, with Marion Center averaging 304 yards per game, and Homer Center right behind with 303. Marion Center's Garrett Wells ranks second in the area in rushing with 486 yards and has scored an area-high 10 touchdowns. And now the Stingers' passing game is beginning to show signs of life after a slow start. Homer Center's dual-threat quarterback Ben Schmidt has been lighting it up in the past 2 games by averaging 235 total yards per game, and he's had a hand in all of his team's 79 points this season in the running, passing, and kicking game. Schmidt's main target in the passing game, Kobe Doherty, is tied for the area lead in receptions with 12 and is averaging 21 yards per catch. The Wildcats struggled defensively the first 2 weeks, but began to right things last week in a 35-7 win over Penns Manor. Marion Center is looking to get off to a faster start. The Stingers had to score late in wins over Salzburg and Purchase-Line, and even fell behind West Shamokin early in a game that turned into a rout. Purchase-Line is in a tough stretch. The 1-2 Red Dragons opened the season with a win over West Shamokin and then dropped consecutive games to Homer Center and Marion Center, both games they were in position to win. This week, they play host to Northern Cambria, which mounted a comeback to beat West Shamokin last week and moved to 2-1. Quarterback Mike Hoover has completed 30 of 39 passes for 389 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Adam Capera leads the area in rushing with 494 yards. The Colts are averaging over 400 yards per game. Purchase-Line's Cullen Gauncher and Josh Seister have combined for 560 rushing yards, and quarterback Jacob Barnett is 22 for 36 for 338 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The Red Dragons are averaging 349 yards per game. Ligonier Valley gets back on the field after missing last week due to a forfeit by United. Last year, it was Salzburg forfeiting to the Rams, but this year the Trojans have the numbers to keep a team on the field. But they might not quite have the numbers to keep up with Ligonier Valley and spring a major upset despite the best effort of quarterback Josh Gibbons and his playmakers. United is scheduled to get back on the field this week against Penns Manor at home, but the Lions are still ailing. They ended their previous game with only 14 players and even then played 8-minute quarters in the second half. United can't afford another injury, and 1-2 Penns Manor can't afford a loss in its quest to extend its postseason run to 13 straight seasons. The Comets are looking to shake off last week's slow start against Homer Center in a game they trailed 35-0 at halftime. Blairsville travels to West Shamokin to take on the winless Wolves. West Shamokin has started fast in all 3 of its games, only to watch leads dissolve into losses. One of the big factors for the Wolves has been turnovers. The Wolves have 9 in 3 games and a -7 turnover ratio. Blairsville, meanwhile, has been inconsistent on both sides of the ball. Indiana is coming off its first win, but the Indians face the unenviable task of taking on powerhouse Thomas Jefferson in a WPIAL Big 8 conference game. The 3-0 Jaguars outscored their first 2 opponents 102-16, and then disposed of Bell Vernon, the second-best team in the conference, 34-7 last week. Indiana can't afford any turnovers and enters the game with 10 in 3 games. Apollo Ridge is looking to go 4-0 when it goes on the road to face East Allegheny, which has won 2 straight following a season-opening loss. The Vikings have called on a variety of weapons, including the junior quartet of quarterback Jake Fellow, running back Logan Harmon, and receivers Keaton Reese and Clay Fitzroy. That's it for this week. Check the game-by-game previews in Thursday's print edition, and read all the game stories Saturday at indianagazette.com and in the Indiana Gazette.